Hi, this is Vince. Today I'm going to sand the back of the gauge clusters on my second generation Mitsubishi Eclipse. After you've popped open the cluster, the first thing you want to do is save the position of the needles so you can put them back in the same place later. To do that, you have to release them from the end stops so they're nice and loose. Otherwise, the shaft will spin when you pop them off, and you'll have to find some way of recalibrating everything when you put them back on later, and you definitely don't want to do that. The trick is to very gently lift up on the needle and just flex it just enough that you can lift it over the end stop without breaking it. Then once it's free, push it back and forth to make sure that it's spinning freely. To mark the needle position, I'd like to use a little masking tape. It's important to bump the needle back and forth and make sure that it's actually spinning freely, and then make two marks, one in either direction, since it naturally has a little bit of play in it. It can also get stuck a little bit, like it did here, so make sure that the two marks you get are actually consistent and repeatable. To pull the needle off, I like to use a plastic pry tool. Just move it gently and it pops right off. I previously replaced the lights on my unit with some LED strips. I highly recommend going that route if you want nice even lighting instead of just replacing the bulbs of LEDs. Anyway, the dial face is held with some double-sided tape near the middle. Once you pry it off, you'll see this pattern printed on the back. This is what you want to remove. To sand the pattern off, I use 100 grit sandpaper. You can be pretty aggressive as the numbers and lines and stuff that you don't want to mess up are on the front and you're only sanding the backside. Now, if you've connected your cluster to a battery like I have, then it'll make it really easy for you to go back and forth and see what parts you need to sand more on before going to the next step. Okay, after a little bit of sanding, this is what it looks like. Notice that all the parts with symbols and numbers have been sanded off, and then we can put it on, see how it looks. Wow, that's amazing. Look how nice it looks compared to the speedometer. We're going to do that next. Okay, now we want to do the same thing with the speedometer. Now I think I took a better video this time. You want to just gently lift the needle again and just flex it just enough so it gets over the end stop. Be careful, you don't want to break it, of course. And then let it go to its rest position. Now, pro tip, when you mark the two positions, if you've already pulled off your needle and you forgot to mark it beforehand, all these parts are standardized, so everybody's mark should be in the same place. For the speedometer, I found on a couple of speedometers I've used, they've all been the same, that basically its center position is right between the U and the E in fuel. So if you're taking your speedometer off, if you put it right there so it's centered there, you should be all set. There. All right, now we use our pry tool again and pop the needle off. Easy. Okay, so now, same thing as before. We just want to go ahead and sand the back with our 100 grit sandpaper. Take your time, make sure you get all the pieces, and then preview it along the way to make sure there aren't any spots that you've left behind. putting the needles back on might take a couple of tries. You want to just test fit it, then bump it back and forth a little bit and make sure that where it rests matches the marks you made before. Once you've got it right, push it on all the way, and then gently lift it back over the end stop, and you're done. Okay, now we're done. Doesn't that look great? Alright, if you like this video, please leave comments. This is my first video, so if I get positive feedback, maybe I'll make more. Anyway, have a great one. Enjoy your Eclipse.